For the last couple of weeks, I've covered FluentCart several different times, but they've all been either the beta of the Pro version or the actual release of the Pro version. Today, we're going to look at the free version of FluentCart. So if you want to jump on board and get started selling, you can absolutely do that with FluentCart without spending a single penny on the software itself. Then if you want to upgrade, you absolutely can do. Link in the description down below. But we are only going to look at the options available in the free plugin. So let's do that. I've got a clean copy of WordPress installed, and we're going to come over to the plugin section, add a new plugin, search for FluentCart, install it, activate it, and we now have FluentCart installed. So let's go into the FluentCart section, go to our dashboard, and that's going to take us into the very simple setup wizard. There's only a couple of steps here, so let's go through them together. First of all, let's pop in our store country, our name, and our store currency. We'll leave it as US dollars, that's fine. You can upload your logo from here if you want to. I'll leave that as it is for now. Click on continue. Then we've got the different pages that need to be created, your checkout, your cart, and so on. Now you could create your own custom pages beforehand if you want to, and you can obviously set these up afterwards as well. Or you can just click on generate all pages and it'll create those pages for you. Insert the shortcodes you need and those pages are then in place. Let's go to the third and final step. Do we want to start from scratch or do we want to pull in some basic data? So if you've ever used WooCommerce, you'll know that you've got to manually pull in sample data, which in all honesty, after this many years, you think they'd have something as simple as this. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe they've updated it since I last checked, but it's nice to see we can just pull in some sample data. Let's say we're going to start off with men's shoes and we'll click on save. We now have our site all set up. Click on let's go and we're now into our dashboard. As you can see, simple, quick, and easy. So let's go into the settings now, because obviously we're going to need to configure things like shipping, taxes, and so on. So let's see what options there are in the free version. So let's come into our settings section. And inside here, let's just quickly go through some of the options here. I'm not going to give you an exhaustive overview. I will probably create a video a little later on once this has matured a little bit and show you step by step how to set up a store and get everything integrated and working. For now, this is a kind of first look and overview of what's available for free. So your store setup basically emulates the first part of the wizard. We'll leave that as it is. Your page setup, like I've said earlier on, if you didn't create the pages automatically or you want to just kind of associate them, you could do that inside here by simply selecting the drop down, choosing what page is relevant, or click on the plus. Your product page, you can configure some of the options here as well. So how you want things to be displayed. Do you want to show the relevant in a single page or in a product modal and so on? So you can tweak this to customize how it all looks and operates. And the same thing then with the variations, whether you want image, text, image and text and so on. So customize this as you see fit. Your cart and checkout allows you to customize various different aspects here as well. So do you want to have a cart icon in the body? You'll have a nice little sort of flyout from the right-hand side. How you want to handle account creation. So, for example, create user account automatically after payment. That's quite a nice way, but you may not always want to do that. So you can say, have an option for a checkbox or no need to create an account for one-time purchases, which is basically a guest checkout. That is kind of useful because it means that people can just come in here, purchase something, and not have to worry about setting an account up. So choose what's relevant to you. Do you want to hide the coupon field, any receipt settings, whether you want to set this from a higher number, a specific prefix you want to use. Again, if you've used WooCommerce and probably Shopify and those kinds of tools, these options are going to be very familiar if they're worded slightly differently. It's a pretty common setup. Then your checkout fields allows you to customize what fields are and aren't included in your checkout process. So if you want to keep this super simple, you don't deal with businesses, it's not important, just leave it disabled. But you can choose then what options you want for the billing address and for the shipping address, and whether you want the agreed to terms and conditions and what they are and whether this is required, which you would probably want to do just to make sure that anybody agrees to it. They have to agree before they can make a purchase. Hit save when you made any changes, job done. Then your payment settings. So this is where you can choose what payment options you want to use, your payment processors basically. In the free version, you can see we've got 3 options available. We've got Stripe, PayPal, and cash on delivery. We'll just choose the cash on delivery for this example, just so we've got a payment gateway enabled. Hit save settings. But if you come into the other options, for example, come into Stripe and manage it, you can see we can work with live credentials, we can connect it to Stripe, we can work with test credentials, and the same thing basically goes then when you're using PayPal. So you can have a kind of sandbox test set up, make sure everything works and it's all in place. Obviously, if you want the full suite of payment gateways as they're rolled out, the Pro version is going to be something you're going to have to upgrade to, which is, again, very similar to most other options. You'll get a slightly stripped back version for free. And if you want those more advanced or extra gateways, you can use those. Then you've got your invoice and your packaging. So most of this is still coming soon. You can easily customize these in exactly the same way as we've seen in the previous videos with the paid version. You can still use the little short codes for any of the info, like your customer email, customer details, transaction details, settings, order details, and so on. So you can customize and tweak the invoice, the packaging slip, and all those kinds of things. Again, you don't need a third-party tool to be able to do this, and you can come into the visual or the code way of working. So you really could customize this to get exactly what you want to be in keeping with your online store. Tax and duties, we've got the option to enable or disable taxes. So if you are going to work with taxes, which I would assume a lot of businesses are, you can enable the tax option inside here, and then you can choose how you want to handle taxes. There's still some work to be done on the taxes, I would say, because there's such a massive global market for who would we want to be using sort of online sales tools like this, and because you can integrate with things like, the Fluent community and have courses and things like that. There's lots of different things to take into consideration here. But it's a good starting point. Maybe some of the features you need will need to be rolled out as things go. But I would say with past experience when it comes to any of the kind of Fluent products, they very, very quickly take on board that initial feedback and add those features in to make sure that the things that maybe aren't there or are fully featured at the time of release, this has only been out a week, will be there very soon. So as you can see, we can choose whether we want to present the tax included in the price or excluded. If you're working with businesses, for example, you may want to have it separate so it's excluded so they can see the sort of non-VAT or non-tax price, because chances are most businesses would claim that tax back. Therefore, it's not important for them to see it. So you can choose what you want from there. Choose how you want to calculate the tax, whether this is based upon the shipping, the billing, or the store location. If you want to prop in a suffix for the price. And then if you're dealing with EU VAT or value-added tax, you can enable the EU VAT number, which is not that easy to say. If you enable that, you can see you can set up the local reverse charge. And basically what this means is, if you're dealing with companies like in the EU and stuff like that, and they've got a valid VAT number, it should check that VAT number, and any tax that's been applied to the price will be taken off. It's just the way that tax works on a lot of different stores. So the option is here, and you can see we can exclude sort of VAT reverse on different categories. We've only got one here at this point in time, but you may have things like, for example, food and stuff like that, where you may not charge a tax or whatever. You can set categories that are exempt from that reverse VAT charge. Again, hit Save Changes once you're happy with it. Then you've got your rates. So inside here, this is where you can set up your different rates for different countries. This is where I would say some work needs to be done here. Let's add a country. So we'll say, in my case, we'll choose the UK and we'll click on Add. So now you can see we've got one country. If we expand this out, we've got the UK, and we've got 3 tax rates already set up. If we click on View, there's our tax rate, our standard, our reduced, and our 0. And you can see there's the rates 20, 5, and 0. So you can, again, customize these, come into your actions, make changes to whatever you want, whether they're compound taxes and so on. So there's lots of different options inside here. Your tax overrides, there's various different things you can do here to customize the tax. So once you're happy with that, you can move on. You get to come to the European Union. If you're handling VAT, there's various options on how you want to handle it, whether you want to use one-stop shop or OSS registration, collect using your home country's registration, or collect specific country rate. This is how you're going to handle that VAT tax in EU countries. So choose, again, what's relevant to you. Your email config, it's basically email config, so you can set up your reply to email address and so on. Again, if you've used any of the Fluent tools, this is going to be very familiar. If you use, like, for example, Fluent Community, Fluent SMTP, and so on, very similar setup. Then you can configure your notifications. You can customize these as well, which is quite nice to see. So you can tweak these to get a totally custom setup. So send mail to admin after new order. If you don't want it, disable it. If you want to customize it, you can edit it. And you can see we can customize the body. Again, we can use those little short codes if we want to use those to pass data over from the order. All be done inside here. Again, so simple and easy to be able to customize this to get what you want. Your mailing settings is basically what we've just seen. Your notifications, we've just seen it. Roles and permissions, this is where you can set roles and permissions, but this is a Pro only feature. So if you need that, you are going to have to go to Pro. But again, for most use cases, for smaller shops, or to test this out to see if it meets your needs, you don't need to worry about that. If you need those features and this software meets your needs, upgrade to Pro. It's not crazy money anyway. Storage settings, this is where you can choose whether you want to store locally. This is for things like your digital downloads and so on, or whether you want to use S3, so you can push this off your site. Great if you're handling lots of downloads, maybe big downloads. You don't necessarily want to have that on your hosting. Could get expensive very quickly. You can offload that to S3 and save yourself money. And again, you can come into your manager, you can set up how you want to manage that. So if you come in, you can see we can enable the S3 driver, drop in your access key and your secret key, and you are off to the races. Shipping is where you handle your shipping side of things. So this is very similar to what we've seen with WooCommerce. There's still some things that need to be added here, especially when it comes to free shipping. I've spoken to Jewel, told him what I think should be added in here. I've been told that this will be added very soon. So maybe at the time you're watching this video, this will already be added in. But you create your shipping zone, so you can say, what is the shipping zone you want to use? You can give this a zone name. We'll call this standard shipping. Does this apply to the whole world? In this example, it doesn't. It's going to apply to the UK. Add that in, hit save. So we've now created a shipping zone. Now we can set up our shipping methods. So you can come in, you can choose your sort of flat rate, for example. We'll say the amount is $4.99. Do you want to configure this per order, per item, or percentage? Choose whatever is relevant. Let's say per order, for example. Class aggregate, which is combined or the highest cost, and you can drop a description in. Again, I still think there's some scope to improve the shipping side of things. Again, like I say, I'm hopeful that we'll start to see these kind of things roll out as the dust settles a little bit on the initial launch. Hit save, and then you can carry on adding another shipping zone and another shipping zone and so on. So one of the things I would like to see when it comes to, for example, the free shipping is to have a value or criteria set inside here that say when free shipping is available. So if you spend over $100, £100, whatever, you can get free shipping. You get the idea where I'm coming from. That's not there yet, but apparently it is coming. So fingers crossed. Then you've got your shipping classes. You can set shipping classes inside here as well. So again, we can set a shipping class, your class name, your cost type, fixed amount or percentage, and apply to quantity. So there's plenty of shipping options available inside here. Then you've got your features and your add-ons. Currently, there's nothing available inside here, but again, it is the initial release, so I'm expected to see things added inside you as this grows and matures. Okay, so that's the settings side of things, and this is one of the first places you're going to actually see when you come in and start setting things up. So we've quickly gone through all that. Let's take a look now at the dashboard, some of the options there, then the orders and customers and products and things like that. So your dashboard is kind of like your overview, and again, like I've said in plenty of videos, the thing I like the most about this is it's just so damn quick. Click, it's open. Click, it's open. Click, it's open. Click, it's open. Super quick. And this is where you're going to spend a huge amount of your time if you are managing a popular online store, because you want to handle orders, handle customers, all those kinds of things. You want something that's quick and snappy, and it does it like that. This is exactly what's happening here. So let's take a quick look at our dashboard. Gives you kind of an overview, a bird's eye view of the number of products, your orders, your revenue, any refunds, and you get a nice visual representation of it in a bar chart or a line chart. It's up to you. Obviously, I've got nothing inside here yet, but you can see we can break things down to recent orders, top orders, where your orders are coming from. So that's basically the overview of your store where it is now. But if you want to drill down into a lot more detail when it comes to your reports and your statistics and things, there's a lot available. So if we jump into the report section quickly, you can see we've got sales, orders, revenue, refunds, subscriptions, products, customers. And inside there, we've got breakdowns of lots and lots of information based upon the months, the amount of year-on-year growth, how much you've made per quarter, your net revenue quarterly, top gross volume, your best-selling products, how many you've sold, product performance by comparison, how much refunds, your subscriptions if you run them, any future renewals. Lots and lots of data here that easily allow you to make data-driven decisions. And again, like I've said, this is the free plugin. You're not paying any extra to have huge amounts of report data, but you can see just how much you've got access to as you start to make sales. So let's jump into products next and take a look here. So we've got a bunch of products. These are all sample products. And as you can see, we can filter these based upon published, draft, physical, and whether they're digital or subscribable products or services. And if we come in and take a look at one of these, we can click the little eye icon. It'll take us over to the front end of the site. We can see what it looks like. And as you can see, we have visual representations as well of the various different options here, which is nice to have. We're not having just basically drop down boring lists. It's all be done visually, which is super nice to see. Then if we come in and take a look at a product itself, click inside, again, you can see super quick and easy to work. So if we take a look at the top, we've got our edit products, our upgrade paths and integrations. We'll take a quick look and talk about those in a moment. But all the info inside here is pretty self-explanatory. Your title, your description, your long description, your variations, as we saw on the front end. So all your variations are here, and we can come in and we can skip inventory, duplicate these, go direct to checkout, have the link for that particular product. Great if you're doing online marketing and you want to have the link directly to that particular product in your marketing campaign, instead of going to just the main product and people have to dig down a little deeper. It's all there. We can just simply copy that direct link and use it. So it's really easy to set all these up. One of the cool things I like about this is you click on the image, you can add a new image in, change the image, whatever you want to do. You don't have to dig into the product variation to make changes. You can simply click on there. But when you want to dig in, click the little pencil icon, get a nice little pop-up from the side, and we can make changes inside there. It's pretty simple, straightforward. Inventory management, this is a pro feature. You don't get access to this. If you want that, you are going to have to upgrade to the premium or pro plugin. And then you get downloadable assets. If you enable this, you can add digital products, and this will go, like I say, either to your online storage, or if you set the S3 storage up, it'll go over to there. So this isn't a downloadable product, so we'll just disable that from here. Then you've got your categories, your brands, your shipping classes. So you can add shipping classes from here, select shipping classes, whatever you need to do to set that up for this particular product. Then inside your upgrade pass, you'll see this is a pro feature. So if you want to get access to this, I would say this is probably a little bit more geared towards things like software and subscriptions and things where you may have different tiers of products going up in different prices. You can set upgrade paths inside there. It's pretty nifty. I've covered this in a previous video on the full product. If you want to check it out, link is in the description down below. Then integrations allow you to integrate this with various other Fluent products at this point in time. So if you want to configure modules, you can see we can enable things like Fluent CRM, SMTP, Fluent Community, and so on. Because you can use FluentCart to handle things like subscriptions or selling courses and things as part of Fluent Community, it'll integrate directly in there, gives you super control. Same thing when it goes to Fluent CRM. If you combine Fluent CRM alongside Fluent Community and FluentCart, you have a very powerful online community learning platform with immense email marketing plugged into as well. It's basically what I'm using for my community, along with some other tools, and it's incredibly powerful and relatively simple to set up. If you'd like to see a video on that, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will absolutely create a video if enough people are interested. Now we've seen some of the basic options when it comes to the products. Let's create a new product, but let's create a digital product to see how that works. Let's add a new product. You can see we can choose between physical and digital. We'll leave it as digital. We'll create a new product by giving it a name and click add. And you can see now we've got the options to go through those short descriptions and so on. If we take a look now, because we're dealing with digital products, we can choose to limit the purchase to 1 per order. So if you were doing something like selling course access, you wouldn't want someone to buy 5 courses of the same course. So you can say, limit that to just 1 item. You can add your media in, you can choose your category. So we can add categories from here as well. So let's just say digital goods, we'll add that. There we go. Let's add a brand in and add. Choose a tax class if it's relevant, or add a tax class. Then you can select your payment terms, the price, the comparative price, whether you want to calculate the cost and the profit. So you can see you can set your cost per item, your profit, your margin, and so on. We already know that inventory management is handled via the Pro version. And then you download assets. So you can simply come in, add this in, choose a file. You can select from anything you have previously uploaded. So you may be creating multiple different variations of a product. You don't want to upload it every single time. Or you can upload from here. You can choose the file you want, confirm it, and add it in. So that's how easy it is to add that in. And then once you've done that, you've basically created a digital product. Before we move on, I want to show you one thing that I think is very, very useful here, and I haven't touched upon it yet. That is, if you look at the long description, you can see we've got the classic editor, which is basically what we see here. But if you click on Builder, this will then open up the option to use the content editor. So if you open this up, we now have basically, in this example, Gutenberg. So we could just get rid of all this naggy rubbish, get rid of the classic editor and convert that to blocks. But now we can easily start using any of the blocks that we have access to inside here. So you can get a lot more creative with your descriptions for your products. You can make something that's actually truly a lot more interesting, a lot more visual. Again, if you'd like me to cover creating sort of page setups for selling your products, let me know in the comment section down below. So now you have the full complement of all the blocks, patterns, media, everything inside here that you want to use. So for example, let's just say we want to pop in a gallery. You could easily add a gallery from here. You want to add a header in, you want to add media, featured images, and so on. All be added in directly inside here. So now we can customize this product description and make it much, much more engaging than just plain old boring text where every page looks exactly the same. This allows you to get a lot more creative without having to install any additional tools or plugins, and without also having to mess about with any kind of code and functions to enable this out of the box. I think that's pretty nifty. And then once you're finished, hit publish. Publish again, we can close this down, and we now have our long description being a lot more creative in the content we actually display. Now let's take a quick look at the orders section, because obviously with online stores, a big part of what you're going to do is handle orders. So I've already created a sample order, and as you can see, it tells us what the product is, who the customer is, the total, and currently it's set as pending, and the status is on hold. So we can easily come in and edit this, and you can see this gives us all the info about the order, who the customer is, any notes, any labels, any tax information, the product, the amount of money paid, etc., etc. So we can easily come up and we can edit this if we want to. We've got more actions inside here, so you can generate a receipt. If you click on this, you can see there's our receipt. So once we're happy, if we want to make a change to the status of this, you can see collect payments is our option. So we'll say mark order as paid. We'll say cash, there we go, we'll mark that as paid. We're just using a cash on delivery sample. Obviously, if you're working with Stripe or PayPal, once that payment has been accepted, it'll come back and trigger this and mark it as paid. You get the idea. So that gives us now a breakdown of all the information for the activity for this order. We can see it's succeeded. So everything has been set up there. If you want to run a refund, you could do that from here as well. Come back up our orders, you can see that's now marked as paid and completed, and we can print this off if we want to view the invoice. All our data is set up there. Cool, so we can print that off if we want to. So orders are super useful, again, super quick. You'll also notice that we can easily refine how we want to view things, whether they're completed, processing, on hold, or we come into more views. There's an awful lot of options here. Subscriptions, renewals, refunded, partially refunded, and so on. So you can easily refine what you see inside your orders section. Now let's take a quick look at the actual information about a particular customer. So this time, let's come into our customers. You can see there's my sample customer. Let's click and open it up. So inside here, you can see the orders that they've placed, the payment status, information about them, any subscriptions they have running, any labels you've applied, and so on. So the basic info that you need is all inside here. If you come into your three dots, you can see we can edit the customer information, manage their shipping address, manage their billing address, and so on. So you have some nice options inside here. Now, no online shop would be much use if you didn't have the ability to have coupons and coupon codes to provide discounts and upsells and downsells and real reasons for people to buy if they're not buying. So we've got coupons available. So we can add a coupon inside here. Again, very simple. The title, the code you want to use, the priority. So if they're using multiple coupons, which takes priority, you can generate a random code if you want to. You can choose the discount type, whether it's fixed or a percentage, and what that actually is. So the fixed is a fixed amount, your percentage, and a maximum discount that they can get. Any usage restrictions. So specific categories they can or can't use, or specific products to include or exclude, minimum, maximum spend amounts, maximum discount uses. Then you've got information about the additional information, so whether it's active, disabled, any internal notes, whether you can stack it. And then you've got your coupon code. You can schedule this. You can check the activity to see how many times it's being used, and so on and so forth. So pretty robust coupon set of options available, again, inside the free version. So while I still think there's room for improvement and some areas that need to be fleshed out a little bit, I do still think there's an awful lot to get excited about in this free version of FluentCart. There's more than enough here for a lot of use cases where you get up and running super quickly and have an online store created with minimal effort and a very, very fast dashboard to work with the whole setup. Now, I will go into a lot more detail in future videos. I just wanted to give you a kind of bird's eye view of the options available in the free version of FluentCart. Hopefully this will whet your appetite to try it yourself. Set it up on a test server, spin up a copy of WordPress, install it and see what you think. Then get involved in the WP Managed Ninja community and then give your feedback and experiences on the product there and help it grow and mature. Links to that and everything else will be in the description down below. As always, my name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.